Good evening and welcome to everybody here this evening. My name is Cindy Holmes. I am the director of the School of Intuition and Healing. We are here this evening to be with Denis, who is our guest. He is a friend, he is a tutor, he has been with the school for some time. Denis has a deep passion in facilitating and supporting people in their energy management and also in their foundation of their spiritual development. So I'm excited for what he has to share this evening. There are beautiful principles and just little hacks to keep us safe, to keep us steady, to keep us grounded today. But I'm not going to be the expert this evening. Denis is our expert, so I am going to be handing over to you, Denis. Denis, a warm welcome, I'm very pleased to say, from the Northern Hemisphere, and sending heat and warmth for a change down Africa to the Southern Hemisphere. But a very warm welcome to you. I'm not going to say too much about your pedigree, Denis. I'm going to hand over for you to do that.
Thank you, Cindy. Much appreciate that. It's so lovely to see some faces that I recognize here. Goshan, welcome. Nice to see you. Penny, hi there. Yasmin is here. And welcome to everybody else who may be here for the first time or may have interacted with the school in various other ways. So this evening we are talking about the gap process and where I fit in with the school. I guess about 11 years ago, Cindy and myself connected. Yes, I have been counting, Cindy. It's quite important for me to count. So around about 11 years ago, Cindy and I connected. We met at a hospice in Cape Town. And I wanted to do a talk on mindfulness. So Cindy was running a beautiful talk platform called the 8 o'clock Club. And then it became the 7 o'clock Club, or the other way around. And I asked if I could do a talk on mindfulness, and Cindy agreed. And then that was our first connection. And then from there, I met Sue Allen, eventually the principal who started the International School of Intuition and Healing. And then from there, eventually, I did the course, just like some of you students are doing the 18-month energy healing course. And then I became a tutor. So that's my journey with the school. Otherwise, I'm an EFT practitioner, Reiki healer. I've done Tai Chi and probably been meditating for, I guess, about 30 odd years. I don't want to say too many because that just gives away too much time that I've been on this beautiful planet of ours. But that's enough about me. So this evening we'll hear about the gap process and why is your energy sacred? So I'm going to take you through this process. One thing about the grounding, attunement, and protection is that often students that do our long-term course, the 18-month energy healing course, when they come through that, they come through with major transformation and healing of themselves and others. But the one thing they say is that the gap process is a life changer. And I can testify to that myself. So I'm going to take you through these life-changing aspects of grounding, attunement, and protection. And while I was sort of putting together the framework of this talk, I came across, so every group that we have a WhatsApp group for students to interact with tutors, gather information, share information, and interact. And there was a beautiful thread that started. So it's, I think it's about 4 or 5 students. They're only 3 months into their long-term 18-month course, but it was all about grounding. And it was so beautiful. I thought, well, I have to share it with you. So I'm just going to run through this thread of each student's thoughts and their wisdom and everything around grounding. And then I'm going to do a slide presentation, and I'm going to unpack the grounding aspects and attunement aspects and protection, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, good. So let me start the thread here. So it starts, I'm just using initials for confidentiality, but we'll start with, so E starts the thread off in this WhatsApp group, And she says, question of the day. How does one know for sure that one is grounded? Is it feeling inside one's skin versus being present? Is it mindful or authentic? I need a solid gauge of degree of groundedness that works irrespective of personality or workload or any imagining of being grounded. So that's the beginning of the conversation. Then S comes on board and she says, hey E, I would say my personal guidance is that I'm more clear and sound emotionally when she's grounded. I would be less reactive and more responsive after grounding, no matter what life is throwing at me throughout the day. There's also this natural, intuitive dialogue that happens that's solution-oriented for me. This also means that I am heart-centered. So it's like I'm able to check where I'm at and how I'm approaching my day, and if I need more grounding. I'll take a moment before responding to the situation or daily event. Also, if I'm questioning a lot, it means I'm in my head. If I'm listening to what's showing up and accepting of it, it means I'm in the heart and have grounded well enough. Hope that helps. Then we have T come on board, and she says, had a bit of insight the other day I wanted to share with you, especially in those intense moments. I've realized that just taking a breath can be very grounding. Not in the long, drawn out, go sit in a room kind of way, more like a quick zap back to presence. I've also been thinking a lot and treating it as a micro moment. So using a breath as a way to ground in the moment and not out of it. It's like if I train my brain to associate a conscious breath in with grounding, it becomes this instant reset. It doesn't need to be visible, just a subtle pause that gets me back in the room. It feels like something I could use all throughout the day, possibly before replying, before reacting, even mid-conversation. It's like just breathe in equals I am here. Simple, but actually pretty powerful. Then C says, a lot has been shared by S&T. For me personally, I've come to recognize that I often feel ungrounded in my body. It shows up in subtle but telling ways. My movements become quicker, I'm more agitated, and I can feel this dysregulation happening in real time. There's a kind of inner static that tells me I'm not being fully present or anchored. Over time, I've learned to meet these moments with practices that bring me back to myself. Breathwork and humming have become essential tools. They help me slow down, soothe my nervous system, and reconnect with my body. I found that visualization can also be incredibly helpful, especially because I'm such a visual person. If I had to name one consistent companion through it all, it's the breath. It calms my racing thoughts, helps regulate my emotions, and makes me feel safe inside myself again. Sometimes, something as simple as placing my feet firmly on the ground, really feeling the earth beneath me, makes a profound difference. It's a reminder that I don't have to escape or fix anything right away. I can just land, breathe, and be here now. That's very, very mindful concept coming through there. And then she says everyone's process is different. What works for one person might not work for another. But for me, grounding isn't just a practice. It's a gentle, ongoing relationship with my body and my nervous system. And then finally, after all of this, one of our tutors comes on board, TN, and she says, yes, creating that pause before reacting is an incredibly powerful practice and brings us back to awareness. Being grounded will feel, in inverted commas, and manifest differently for everyone. After reading what you've shared here shows such a beautiful, and reading what you've shared here shows such a beautiful insight into that. Asking the question for yourself, what does being grounded feel like for me? So, what does being grounded feel like for me will guide you to the answer as well as open up deeper awareness for the self. My thoughts slow down incredibly when I'm grounded. My heart feels more open, and I even hear better. My senses are just more switched on, but in a way that feels empowering. And then finally, E has the last word. So this is the student that started this whole conversation. I'm on my way to the Fish River Canyon for a hike. So that's a pretty hectic hike, takes several days, and some grounding. So I guess you kind of got the message at the end there. So I think what I'm going to do is let's go into a gap meditation process, and then you can experience it for yourself because it's good to listen to theory, but experience and practice is kind of the main thing that we want to do with this information. So if you would like to settle yourself down for a meditation, so you can just sit comfortably in your chairs, place your hands in your lap. It's quite nice to have your palms facing downwards because that's very grounding. Have your feet flat on the floor. And then I invite you to gently close your eyes. So just slowly close your eyes. Allow your shoulders to drop back and down. Relax your fingers and relax your toes. And then take your attention to your breath where it enters and exits your nostrils. And just focus your awareness at that point. And as you focus on your breath, you might slow it down slightly. Any time that we focus on our breath, our body begins to relax and your mind becomes more still. And now take your awareness to the soles of your feet. And in your imagination, drop down 2 roots, down into the earth. And allow those roots to travel deep down into the earth and possibly spread out and make a strong connection. And then imagine beautiful, nourishing, grounding energy traveling up through those roots into the soles of your feet and swirling around in your body, making you feel safe, secure, and nurtured. And just for extra measure, from the base of your spine, send down a 3rd root, down into the earth, and make a connection. You might silently affirm to yourself, I am grounded. And then take your attention to the top of your head, to your crown, and imagine sending up a beautiful golden beam of light up from your crown, up to the highest point of love and light that you can reach. So just take that golden beam up high up, and imagine making a connection to source or divine energy. And as you make that connection to source, Imagine beautiful love and light flowing down, down through that golden beam into your crown and further down into the center of your chest, where we call your heart center. Just allow that love and light to flood and fill your heart center. And get a sense of that beautiful compassion and love filling up your heart. And then from your heart center, now that you are attuned to the divine, expand out a beautiful bubble of light to surround your energy field. So imagine a beautiful golden egg or bubble surrounding your physical body, surrounding your auric field. And this is a bubble of protection. And now that you're surrounded in golden light, you might silently affirm, I am protected. And now that you are grounded and attuned and protected, we slowly make our way to waking consciousness. So just get a sense of your physical feet flat on the floor. You can move your fingers, move your toes. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Okay, excellent. So that was a short gap process, and it just gives you a sense of being beautifully grounded, attuned, and protected. And now I'm going to go into my slide presentation and just unpack all of those aspects for you. So let me just begin sharing my slide. Okay, good. Cindy, just give me a thumbs up if you can see the slide okay. Yeah, okay, fantastic, thank you. So here we are at Your Energy is Sacred, the gap process. And let's move on. Okay. Okay, let me move on to my next slide. There we go. All right, so let's unpack everything, all that wisdom that came through from our students. Let's unpack that section by section with some more information coming through. So this is it's very sort of introductory information. And this type of information, we go much deeper in our short courses and our long courses where we teach more about the gap process. So signs of being grounded. So this is when you are feeling very grounded. As mentioned, you feel less reactive and more responsive. So when we talk about mindfulness, mindfulness teaches you to have a pause moment before you knee-jerk reaction to a particular situation. And then when you respond, you can respond with more wisdom, more compassion, and more ease and grace. You find that you have more heart-centered solutions. So the gap process teaches you to open up your heart, which has a whole lot of benefits, which I'm going to unpack as we go along. So your heart feels more open. You can calm down racing thoughts. You learn to regulate your emotions, which makes you feel safe inside. So the gap process, it teaches you protection. Protection allows you to feel safe, and I'm going to get to how and why it helps you to feel safe. And then, as TN mentioned, your senses are heightened. So you can smell better, you have more inspiration, you're more connected to your body, and you just bring in more harmony in general. And then also note that the signs of being grounded are different for everybody. So everybody learns what their signs of being grounded are. For me, it's a sense of being totally centered, totally calm, and receiving a lot of inspiration. Good. Then we move on to signs of being ungrounded. So, how do you know if you're ungrounded? Perhaps you have many questions and racing thought processes. So often, perhaps at work or in the corporate environment, we get stuck in our heads and we're very intellectual, we're very solution orientated, and we forget to slow down, drop into our heart, and tune to our emotions. So lots of racing thoughts are a sign of being ungrounded. Poor listening skills. So you might find that you can't remember conversations with people, or people will remind you about a conversation that you had, and you just can't remember the gist of the conversation. So poor listening skills, which equates to poor communication skills. A sense of agitation. So you feel a lack of peace, lack of harmony, and perhaps being quite upset very often. Lack of control of your emotions. Okay, rapid movements. So think about tearing around all day long from pillar to post. Um, no peace, no slow movements, no calm. Dysregulation, so a scattering of your energies. Inesthetic, so a sense of agitation, a sense of lack of calm as well. And then I've added two here, which didn't come up in the thread that I read through to you. Constantly misplacing objects. So, for example, you keep losing your keys. Perhaps you're heading to gym and you forget your water bottle behind, or you leave gym and you leave a jacket behind. So you're constantly misplacing objects, and that's because you have lack of focus and you're in a rush and you're just not thinking things through. And then lastly, bruising from unknown sources. So if you're rushing around, you may bump yourself on a car door, you may knock your knees against low tables, you may bump your hips against counters, and someone might ask you where a particular bruise comes from, and you just don't know because at the time it happened, you were all over the place and totally scattered. So those are some signs of being ungrounded, and obviously there are quite a few others. Then we move on how to ground. So these are yeah, some various different aspects on how to ground. One would be pause and check in with yourself. So it's counterintuitive that when we're rushing around and feeling overwhelmed and very frenetic, if we can just take a pause moment, just 5 minutes to pause, sit down, slow down, and just ask ourselves how we're feeling, then just that 5 minutes of pause, pardon me, can actually reset your energy. So you can change your whole vibration by just putting pause moments throughout your day. One idea is possibly for every couple of hours, um, having a little alarm on your phone, so a soft alarm that just goes off and reminds you, okay, it's time to take a 5 minute pause moment. And then you just take that pause. If you're in a busy office or a busy environment, then just excuse yourself and go to the bathroom or step outside. Taking a breath. So I think in about three instances, breath work was mentioned by the students. So taking a breath is incredibly grounding. So anytime that you get out of your head and connect with your physical body, that helps you to ground. And breath can help you to ground really, really well. So just taking a breath before you react and choosing your response is really good. And then breath work, there's many, many different types of breath work. So if any of you do yoga, obviously you will do breath work in yoga. Um, You can find lots of different breathwork exercises on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and what have you. But I'll just give you an example of what a good breathing exercise would be. So you would just sit down. It's called the 4-7-8 breath, and it was developed by Dr. Andrew Weil. So Dr. Andrew Weil is an amazing life coach and wellness coach, and he created this breath series. So basically, you sit down and relax for a few moments. You expel your breath totally to begin with. Then you breathe into the count of 4 through your nose, and you expand your belly like a balloon. Then you hold your breath for 7 counts. And then you deflate your belly like a balloon through your mouth to the count of 8. So it's 4 in, 7 hold, 8 exhalation. And if you do 4 or 5 rounds of that, then that is a really lovely short breath work practice. Then humming was mentioned. Humming is absolutely amazing. So humming through singing or humming through the repetition of sound or words is really, really amazing. And it just opens up your information center, gets you into your body, and is a beautiful practice. I'm going to come back to that when I talk about chanting. Visualization. So visualization is a fantastic way to ground, and you'll find lots of beautiful visualizations online. When we do our our teaching courses, we use a lot of meditation. We tutor our students to have a daily meditation practice, and we do lots of beautiful visualizations. And the thing about visualization is it focuses you on words, sound, and imagery. And while you're focused, you put all your problems aside for a moment. So it's a really good way to ground, attune, and learn to protect yourself. Consciously planting your feet on the ground was mentioned. So that's a really good way to just get a sense of grounding, but it should be conscious. It should be, okay, now I am planting my feet on the ground and I'm going to get a sense of grounding from that. Get into nature. So whenever we interact with students, what makes your heart sing? That question, what makes your heart sing? Practically everybody says getting into nature. And getting into nature is extremely grounding. So when we talk about getting into nature, it can be in a forest, can be walking on the beach, swimming in the ocean, anything like that. But even gardening, gardening is amazing. So get your feet into the soil, get your hands into the soil, get dirty, and get grounded. So that's really fantastic. It's also a good body workout as well. I find that if you work in the garden, you come away and you feel like you've done a whole gym session. And if you can't get into a garden, then think of nurturing indoor plants. So if you love cooking, do a lovely range of pots on your kitchen windowsill. Have plants in your office, have plants in your bathroom. Green is an extremely healing energy. So whenever you surround yourself with greenery through plants, that is very, very healing, very balancing, and very grounding. And then lastly, on my short list here, physical body connection. So anytime that you connect to your body in a physical manner, you get grounded. So think of yoga, Tai Chi, Pilates. I'm also a Pilates teacher, so I know that Pilates is extremely grounding and extremely de-stressing. Qigong, gym, anything like that that gets you into your body and gets you to focus for an hour or two. Good. Then we move on to, so now we shift away from the G in the gap process, which is grounding, and we move on to what is attunement. So basically, in a nutshell, attunement is connecting to source or God or the divine presence. So we have many different names for God. We can talk about Allah. We can talk about Brahman. We can talk about the infinite radiant is, the Chinese Tao. All of those speak of divinity or a divine presence. So that's kind of the bigger picture that we can attune to. Bringing it closer to home, you can attune to experiencing yourself as your own higher self or your soul self. So essentially, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So that's just to quote Taylor Jardin, who was a fantastic mystic. So we can learn to, through the gap process, we can learn to experience our own soul self. And then taking it one step further, you can make contact with your personal guides. So our students that do healing or do mediumship or do psychic studies, they all learn to make contact with personal guides. And we have different guides for different things. So we can have teacher guides, we can have healing guides, all different aspects of guides. And then lastly, all of us have a divine spark within us. So we like to teach or tutor that your heart center is the seat of your soul or your higher self, and there's a divine spark that resides within you. So literally in visualization and meditation, you can connect with that divine spark, and that is attuning to the divine within you. How to attune? Obviously through meditation. So it's really, really good to learn your own daily meditation practice. And there's many, many different ways to meditate. So you can experiment, try different ways, and find your own way that works for you, and even change your way of meditation as you go along. Then if you don't have time for meditation, I mean, some of us have really, really busy lives. Some of us are doctors, some of us are attorneys, some of us are teachers, all different aspects. Sometimes some of us are mothers and fathers. Sometimes you just don't have the time to practice meditation every single day. And that's where mindfulness comes in. So mindfulness can take 2 to 5 minutes. And we can tap into mindfulness through the breath. We can tap into mindfulness through visualization, through focusing on awareness, and through getting into our body. So if you don't have time for meditation, you can attune through mindfulness. We can attune through breath. So we've mentioned breath already. We can practice heart-centeredness. So as you grow in spirituality, in healing, on your journey, you will learn to center within your heart. And there's many, 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 many different benefits to centering in your heart. And you learn compassion for others, you learn tolerance, you learn to forgive yourself, you learn to love yourself. And then lastly, listen to music or chanting. So music is incredible for attuning to the divine, and it depends on what music you love. So classical music, anything like Baroque music, Vivaldi or Bach. Some people love binaural beats. So it's kind of no vocalizing, but beautiful sound that balances out your left and right hemispheres of your brain. You can listen to chanting. So you get beautiful chants. One Tibetan chant is Om Mani Padme Hum, which means the jewel in the heart of the lotus. So very poetic. Om Namah Shivaya. So Om is the sound of the divine in the universe. I'm looking at Goshan and nodding his head here. So Om is the sound of God in the universe. Shivaya is an ode to Shiva, the most beautiful, beautiful chant. Om So Hum. Or what about Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So beautiful chanting. And you can either listen to chanting or you can chant yourself. Anytime you hum or chant, you are activating your vagus nerve. And your vagus nerve is a very large nerve. It travels from the base of your spine, from your cerebral cortex, from the base of your spine, all the way down through your torso and connects to all your major organs. When your vagus nerve is out of kilter, so when it's not in balance, then it affects your immune system. And also it affects your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So you can get very stressed. You can go into fight, flight, or freeze. So you want your vagus nerve to be very balanced and in tune. And one way to do that is to hum or chant. Good. So let's move on to the benefits of attunement. So attunement assists you with your grounding. So grounding and attunement go hand in hand. Later on, once you've practiced your gap process, you'll learn to ground directly through your heart center. So not only attune through your heart center, but you can ground at the same time as well. And you can literally do it in seconds. It takes practice, but once you know how to do it, you can go straight there. Teacher's tolerance. So because attunement connects you to the divine within you, you open up your heart, you learn more compassion, and you learn tolerance. Not only tolerance of others, but tolerance of your own self. So you might become more aware of your mistakes, but you also become more forgiving and more tolerant of them. You learn to transcend personality and ego problems. So if we're talking about chakras, which are the energy centers in your body, we've got 7 main energy centers. There's one in your heart center, which is the seat of your soul. And there's also one below, which is your solar plexus center. And in healing and spiritual parlance, we talk about the solar plexus as being the seat of your ego or your personality. The problem is when you get caught up in your personality problems and your ego problems, it's very tricky to find solutions and to step out of your problems. But if you can shift into your heart space, it takes you one step away from your problem and you're open to insights and you're open to solutions. So that's one good benefit of being attuned. So you find faster solutions to your challenges and you just find that your life becomes more harmonious. So when we learn to sort of step more out of our ego, more out of our personality and into our heart, we have less drama in our lives and we're also attracted to drama less. So it no longer attracts us, and we prefer harmony, we prefer tolerance, we prefer compassion, and we prefer balance in our lives. Then we move on to the P in the gap process. So protection. So when we talk about protection, we're not talking about fear. So in one of our courses, when we talk about protection, we tutor that think of putting on sunscreen. So when you put on sunscreen, you don't put it on from a fearful perspective. You put it on to protect you from the sun's rays. Okay. You also have the choice of being burnt if you want to, but generally you want to prevent that, but you do it from a non-fearful space. So when we're protecting ourselves from our energy being drained by situations or people, from getting sick, and from lowering our vibration. So, what are sources of draining our energy? Perhaps you go to the mall and it's quite frenetic energy. There's a lot of people around. There's a lot of people of different vibration, low vibration, high vibration. Everyone's trying to sell you stuff. You're trying to hold on to your money, but you also want to buy a whole lot of things. So that can totally throw your energy out. But if you know how to protect yourself before you go into that situation, then you know that you're going to walk in there and walk out feeling totally balanced and totally aligned. So you want to learn to protect your energy. Um, when you protect your energy, you keep your vibration nice and high. That boosts your immune system, and you get sick far less. And when you have a higher vibration, you attract less negativity into your life. So a lower vibration, more drama, more problems. When you raise your vibration through the gap process, through meditation, you have more balance in your life. So protection also talks about boundaries. So boundaries are, yes, protecting yourself, but boundaries are also about how to deal with relationships, how to deal with people that are close to you, and how to deal with people in the workspace, how to deal with people in the outer world. So it's almost like um, you learn to you learn to teach people how to treat you. So it's like, this is what I'm prepared to put up with. This is what I'm not prepared to put up with. And this is how I'm going to let you know that. And another thing about boundaries is often with relationships, people go into relationships thinking that they can change each other. So when you go into a new relationship, you might think, okay, I'm not quite happy about that aspect of this person. I don't quite like that, and I'm unsure about this, but I'm sure that once time goes by, this person will change and will improve and will find the perfect balance. But that might not necessarily happen. But the way that you can work with that is to change yourself. So the reality is we can never change any other person, but if we change ourselves, we change our vibration and we change our reality, and it could help that other person to change themselves from that perspective. Also, we are surrounded by different people in our lives. But when we change our vibration, when we put boundaries in place and we learn to protect ourselves, then what happens is our vibration gets higher and we have less people coming into our lives that cause problems and more people that support us, care for us, and look after us. So that's a really good reason why to have more boundaries. And you also learn more authenticity. So once you know your boundaries, you learn who am I, what do I want in life, what do I stand for, and what are my own values. And once you know those aspects, it changes your life. Good, how to protect. So one aspect of protection that a lot of you might have come across, but it's very, very effective, is creating a bubble of protection. So you might remember in our gap process at the beginning of this masterclass, we created a beautiful golden bubble of protection. So that's one good thing. And if you practice that over time, it kind of gets quicker and stronger. So I can go straight into protection immediately just by visualizing that bubble around me. And that bubble can take different shapes. You can create a beautiful pyramid around you, or any different shape that you like. The symbol of the school is a three-dimensional six-pointed star. And I often meditate within that six-pointed star symbol, and that is my symbol of protection. Very, very powerful. We can also call it the Egyptian Merkaba. Then you can call on Archangel Michael. So all around the world, various people call on Archangel Michael for protection on a daily basis. There's a lady called Diana Cooper. She's a well-known author in England and internationally, and she wrote a whole host of books on angels. She came to Cape Town, I think it was in 2010, and did a talk at the University of Cape Town. I think there were about 450 people there. And at one stage, we did this visualization with Archangel Michael, where she called in the energy of the Archangel, and it was absolutely incredible. People burst into tears. Um, People had like gasps of exclamation, and it was the most beautiful healing energy. So please call upon Archangel Michael for protection. Grounding is very protecting. And then you can utilize the power of intention to protect. So with intention, we say that energy flows where attention goes, or energy follows thought. So wherever you focus your attention and intention, you can create beautiful changes. So I can say to myself, it is my intention to protect myself throughout this day. And as I set my intention, it is so. and that can be part of your protection. Good benefits of protecting yourself: boost your immune system, manage your own energy, avoid overwhelm, empower yourself to be there for loved ones. So, Cindy, I'm watching my time here. I've only got 2 slides to go, so I'm not going to overextend. Um, but it's really good to empower yourself to be there for your loved ones. So we all know that if we become overwhelmed and we just melt into a puddle of overwhelm, there's no ways that we can be there for our spouse, our children, our friends, and what have you. But if you learn to ground, attune, and protect yourself, then you can be there for others. And that's actually quite a beautiful service. It's very empowering for you, it's empowering for others. And if one person in the world can do that for one other person, then globally that will make a difference. And then you own your own personal power. So you step into your own power, you shift that energy of your solar plexus ego into your heart, and you just change your life. Then, just to round things off, why is your energy sacred? So I'm just going to tap into my notes here because I want to just briefly talk about that 100. So I'm going to talk about basically the collective unconsciousness and us and them. So I'm just going to wrap up with that sort of information. Okay. The 100th monkey effect. So the idea is based on observation of Japanese monkeys called macaques on Kashima Island. So a young female monkey called Emo discovered the option of washing sweet potatoes in a stream before eating them. So Emo was the first little monkey that did that. Then the habit spread quickly amongst younger monkeys in the same troop, but it wasn't adopted by the older generations to begin with. Gradually, more and more monkeys started washing their sweet potatoes, and the older ones as well. And then it spread from island to island. So from the beginning, no monkeys washed sweet potatoes, and then gradually more and more did. So the 100th monkey theory, the idea suggests that once you have a critical mass, for example, 100 monkeys adopting the similar habit, then spontaneously it spreads through the entire population, where even those who were not initially inclined to learn that habit take it on. So, on healing or spiritual terms, what happens is when more and more people raise their vibration, when more and more people open up their heart, when more people become tolerant, then we actually raise the vibration of the planet away from war and more towards peace and tranquility. So that's the 100 monkey effect. It also taps into Carl Jung's collective unconsciousness. So we need to bear in mind that as spiritual beings having a human experience, on a high level, we are all interconnected. So not only are we interconnected via space and time, but we are interconnected energetically. Absolutely everything in life is energy, and my energy is connected to your energy right here, right now, and is connected to everyone else around the globe. So it's really good for you to start thinking about being the change that you wish to see in the world. Okay? If every single one of us start thinking about being the change that we wish to see in the world, then we will create this snowball effect. And it's all about living from the heart. And it goes beyond us and them. So essentially we talk about there's us and there's them, all of those that are totally different to us. But eventually, we want to get to the point where it's no longer us and them. It's no longer you and me. It's just humanity as one whole connected unit. And basically, that's what we're working towards. And the gap process is a beautiful process to take us in that direction. Well, thank you, Cindy. That's over to you, and I don't know if there's any questions or anything that you want to add.
Dennis, thank you. And thank you. First of all, what beautiful slides. I believe you took a lot of the photos yourself. They are absolutely beautiful. So thank you. Underlying this fantastic information, these beautiful slides, a big thank you for that. And then also the reminder that if we focus on our inner energy and we get the gap going for ourselves, that we can create critical mass. And at these times, critical mass is absolutely critical, in my opinion, and continuing to manage our energy in these extraordinary times. So thank you for all the reminders, and bringing us into that meditation. Just a quick check-in. Does anyone have any questions? Would anyone like to ask anything of Dennis? Lindsay, I see you've unmuted yourself.
Yes, please. Dennis, I wanted to ask, I don't know if this is an obvious question or not, but while you were going through the gap process, it's something that I'm learning as a student on the course as well at the moment. But what keeps happening for me is that in times of heightened stress or agitation, I completely forget that I have these tools available to me and I get overwhelmed. So I don't know if there's something that I can do or any advice that you would have for me to just remember that I can actually go back to my breath and I can go back to gap. But I just seem to kind of, get stressed and forget that I have these tools available to me to regulate again, I guess.
Very, very good question. So essentially, we need to create good habits with these processes, and habits take time to develop and time to sort of get into your consciousness. So you literally need to choose something on a daily basis and then repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, and then see what works for you. So I can literally give you 50 different processes to work with, but it's about choosing one, experimenting, and experiencing it. So even if you just choose one aspect of breath work and then try that for a little while and see if that works for you, or choose getting out into the garden on a daily basis and nurturing your plants, or um, choose showering in the morning and allowing that water to flow over you as you visualize all your stress moving away from you, or use your exercise as your de-stressing practice. So it's basically creating habit that you can fall back upon. Cindy, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, you know what really has, if I want to do something, I set alarms on my telephone at different times of the day. So if I kind of, just the repeat of that, and they're different apps that you can find with gongs on, or various different things where you can set timers. And that is really helpful for me. That is one of the, as example, I've been trying to create spaciousness for contemplation in my life. And so having an app that goes off 5 times a day, and I just, even if it goes off while I'm doing some coaching, when I come off the call before I do anything, then I go back to that. And that has been a game changer for me. And actually, after about 4 months, I just started doing it naturally. When I felt that overwhelm coming in, it just becomes a natural response of our nervous system to pause. So that's what I use. But great question. Thank you very much for that. Does that help, Lindsay?
Yes, that's very helpful. Thank you both.
Okay, good. And if I can just say as well to Lindsay, um, if you set up your day by starting your day with some sort of practice, so even if it's 5 minutes, as soon as you wake up, tune into even one word, love or harmony or peace, and then spend 5 minutes focusing on that word or focusing on your breath or focusing on music. But start your day if you can with that, and then it'll just set your intention for the entire day.
Thank you. That's really great advice. Thank you.
Good.
Anybody else got some questions? Dee, hello.
Hello, Dee. Hello, Dee. Hello,
Hello.
Cindy. You threw me there when you said that. I didn't expect you to notice that I took my mic off. Yeah, my question is a little bit similar to Lindsay's. Thank you for pointing that out, Lindsay, because it's actually helped, trigger me to ask this. And I think I've got to the place where Linda's situation is because I don't know. I feel like so I used to do a lot of meditation, breath work, and all that good stuff. And then I don't know what happened. Now I've got in a place where it's like I'm stuck. And if I try to meditate, I can't focus and then I get up. So I'm looking at the slide and I'm seeing about the agitation. I'm thinking long points, short. I'm thinking, is it down to me not being grounded anymore? I don't know how I got away from being grounded, but I would struggle with doing my practices. I would try to create a morning practice because I'm used to having a morning practice, but I would struggle with that. And as I feel disconnected from it, and so I stop. And when I keep telling myself, no, you've got to keep going, I just can't feel that connection. So is that due to lack of grounding, or would you know? Because I've been trying to figure out this problem for a little while. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. So I'm just wondering how you spend your time. Do you ever get to do anything that makes your heart sing? Do you have any
Not
joy?
anymore.
Ah,
Not
okay.
anymore. Yeah.
All right. So I think it's my higher self sort of like tapping me on the shoulder here and saying, this is what Dee needs.
Mm-hmm.
She needs more joy in her life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so somehow you need to go back in your life where you tapped into what made your heart sing or what gave you joy, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe even create a list of different things. Ask yourself why you are not allowing yourself to tap into those anymore.
Ah,
And,
okay.
and then, yep. And then take one and then see if you can start working your way through your list. Because
Right.
if you can tap into your joy, you'll tap into the deeper aspects of your being, and then you'll start the snowball rolling. And then you'll want to ground and you'll want to do various different things for yourself.
Okay.
Um,
I will try that. Mm-hmm.
Dee, just by being here today is kind
Mm-hmm.
of a start and a shift of the energy. Showing up today is a
Mm-hmm.
start. The other thing is because of the noise of social media, of the news today, I'm I I'm sure everyone, I mean, there's some people here who probably either just remove themselves or whatever. But if you can just replace that with a positive podcast, listening to some gongs, or just getting out into nature and just try not to stay in that noise, just to pause
Yeah.
the noise of the world at the moment, because my sense is there into your mental body has come this busyness and
Mm-hmm.
doing and doing,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow you need to step off the treadmill. So really just by being here today is the start, and then get something just incremental. Don't go from zero to hero.
Yeah.
Really just
Step by
just
step.
chip away, chip away, chip away. And be kind and loving to yourself. Don't make that another big another big issue, another big hurdle or big issue. Chip
Mm-hmm.
away at it to bring joy. It's raising that vibration into a different harmonic.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you both.
Thank
Cindy,
you.
can I just add to that as well quickly?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Dee, it's also good to connect with people that can, that you can talk to, that will help you to raise your vibration, that you can share things with and bounce ideas off. So, just think who in your life that you can possibly connect to, even if it's if it's someone outside of your family and friend group, like maybe someone who's qualified to help you or something like that. But try not to just try not to stay alone with this, but try and share it and get a bit of assistance if you feel
Mm-hmm.
that's necessary. Yeah,
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you,
good.
Dee. Dennis, Marie Elston has just shared with us. What does it What does one do when drowning in grief? Loss of husband, job, and career, now living as a refugee, all in the last month. So I'm really witness you, Marie, and hold you in a higher vibration. And there are different stages of grief through all of those. So I think the first one is just to loving kindness to yourself. And Dennis, I don't know if you want to pick up on that.
Sure, Cindy. Yeah. So at my sort of work with St. Luke's Hospice in Cape Town, we actually had a whole grief counseling division. And we would work with patients that through palliative care. And then often once the client or the patient has passed away, then there would be a grief counseling team that the relatives could go and chat to. So I would suggest that you reach out to a hospice because they can put you in touch with people who will really assist you from a beautiful heart-centered space. And then also we had Lifeline, Cindy. So, you remember Lifeline, which is a phone-in service where you can phone in and speak to a beautiful heart-centered person who would listen and allow you just to express, to voice your feelings and what have you. Grief it's a big issue. It comes in waves. It can be long term, and it's no small thing to deal with. So please reach out to someone that can assist with you, and don't just hold it all into to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So just you can also reach out to the school via email tomorrow if you need some numbers that we can give you to support you, Marie. But thanks for reaching out. But yeah, don't please reach out by email. You're currently in a Kenyan village. Okay. If you just would like to reach out by email to the school tomorrow or to WhatsApp one of our numbers, we will see if we can make any suggestions for you. But thank you for reaching out, and thank you so much for being on this call and sending you love and healing and energy. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. Thank you for your great questions. And we really appreciate you being part of our community. For those of you who are new to our community, Dennis is doing this again in a couple of weeks' time, where he's going to give us a toolkit for meditation. And so we look forward to seeing you all there. Please share these information packs, really, share this information, share the links with your friends. This is great. And Dennis, as always, it's lovely to be with you and see you. I feel like we haven't been together online for ages, so it's so lovely. Dennis and I did a lot of recording together during lockdown when I lived in Cape Town. And it kind of feels like I haven't seen him for ages. So it's lovely sharing the space in front of a camera with you. Each and every one of you, please be safe. Please be kind to yourself. Please raise your vibration when you can. But yeah, first and foremost, kind to yourself and kind to others. And we send you all lots of loving kindness. Dennis, thanks again. Thank you, each and everyone. Good night. Have a good time. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye. Thank you.